Today, we have ourselves a little first base rankings debate. Do you need a big-time slugger like Vladimir Guerrero or Bryce Harper? Or can you wait a little bit at the position and grab yourself someone like Cody Bellinger or Paul Goldschmidt? We cover those names and more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're watching on a platform like YouTube, hit that little bell below. It will give you a notification every time we drop a new episode, and it will subscribe you to the channel as well. And if you're listening on the audio side of things on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you do that for us. And guys, this time of year, truly important to us and you guys. Give us a chance on the Subtext platform. Through Subtext, it's a personalized experience through text message and alerts that you're going to get right to your phone, offering so much more than we can in this 30-minute episode. And this time of year on Subtext, you're going to get our 2025 rankings, sleepers, breakouts, bust, and so much more. So if you want to give us a chance on Subtext, the link is in the bio wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And all right, Matt, we're back at it with our little rankings discussions here, and we're doing first base today. And there's a little bit more differences than catcher here, so I think we're gonna have a little bit of fun. But my brother, why don't you take the wheel here?
Yeah, so I figured, like a lot of our top 8 is pretty much the same. So I think we just kind of roll into like going backwards, I feel.
I like
and
it.
then we kind of go from there. So I'm looking at your rankings, I'm looking at mine, and I see that we have a little bit of a difference at 12. And for me, it's Paul Goldschmidt, and for you, I believe it is Josh Naylor, who I have a tad bit higher, and we could talk. So like for me, Paul Goldschmidt, I feel is kind of like the last kind of ditch effort for me at 12. I have just for a little inside baseball, I have Josh Naylor a little bit higher, but I feel like for Paul Goldschmidt, he just has a little bit more of, a safety net to him, not because of his performance last year or anything of the sort, but and the fact that he's on a decline if you really look at it. But I feel like the transfer of team, maybe the invigoration of being in New York can kind of give him a little bit more of a boost than, what we got with St. Louis. They're literally going nowhere. They can't get anything right. The organization, I think, has failed the players as a whole. And maybe going over to the Yankees kind of gives them a little resurgence. We see maybe like a last minute DJ LeMahieu thing to that caliber where he first got to the Yankees, but somebody that is feeling a little bit more invigorated. The 22 home runs, the 70 runs, the 65 ribs. I look at it with him hitting 245 and the bat speed being down. Even if he hits about 245 to 255, I think the power numbers can come up just because he's in Yankee Stadium. I think the runs and ribs are going to be there just because of the team around him. And I feel like if I have him and the batting average took a hit, I'm not going to be too upset. Even if he repeats the home run numbers and the batting average, the runs should be probably anywhere from 85 to 90. And same thing with the ribs because of the guys in front of him, the guys behind him. Ultimately, it's a better situation as a whole. And that's why I have him at 12 versus other guys.
Yeah, I, as a Yankee fan, I don't want to say that not excited for Goldie. A bit, like I said, I could see him.
By no means.
I could see him coming over here and having an impact. He's going to hit in a good spot in the lineup. Roster Resource has him projected to hit 4th at the moment, so that's a great spot for RBIs as long as Judge isn't driving them all in. And then even behind him, the runs could be okay, with Bellinger, Stanton, Wells, Dominguez. But I don't know if this is going to be the lineup on opening day, right? This is what we see right now projected. I think a lot could change. I think this is a lineup that Boone's going to play with and move guys around. So, we see him there right now. And, if he's there, the RBIs are going to be good. Runs could be really good. The batting average, let's see. He's getting Goldie's getting a little bit older. Some of the underlying stuff has taken a hit, especially when you look at the underlying stuff for batting average. They had him at 255, and he hit 245 last year. Goldie hit 268 in 2023. He's going to be 37 this year. I think that's where the pessimism comes from in my ranking of Goldie. I have him at 18 actually. Maybe he could rise a spot or two in the ranks, especially if he looks good in spring training. But it is worrisome because I think in the best case scenario for Goldie, it's maybe 265 with 25 home runs, 90 RBIs. I don't know how much the Yankees are going to let him run, especially in the sprint speed. It was really bad for Goldie last year. I know he stole 11 bags, but it was 23rd percentile sprint speed. I think the Yankees are going to want to keep him healthy out there on the field. So I don't foresee, I'm not projecting a lot of steals, but maybe 5 to 8. So there's a world where, it ends well, but I think the baseline projection is going to be almost similar to last year that he had with St. Louis, where, the home runs, still 20-ish, I think is definitely possible. RBIs might be up a little bit, but the 245 batting average, and then I just don't think he's quick enough to run those bases and get those runs. The Yankees might drive him in though. I still think it's where's the price on him? Actually, let's even talk about where's the price on him at the moment. ADP right now, 17th first baseman, pick 165. I'm fine with that. I'm not mad at the ADP, but he's not somebody I'm going to reach for. I'm not going to go out of my way to get Paul Goldschmidt on my team because I don't think we're going to see the old Paul Goldschmidt of 300 with 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. I don't think that's in the cards from this year. But Matt, you were talking about Josh Naylor, so I guess it's my turn to talk about why I have somebody ranked a little bit lower. I have Naylor at 12, and I guess you could say this for Goldie too, but, New Year for Naylor heads over to those Diamondbacks, and it was a really big first half for Naylor, and, I am going to pull up the splits, but, he slowed down in the second half. I'll give you the whole year numbers before we do the splits. As a 27-year-old, Josh Naylor played for the Guardians last year. He was actually an all-star, 152 games played, 563 at-bats, 84 runs, 27 doubles, 31 homers, 108 RBIs with 6 steals, 58 walks to 105 strikeouts. So he's not killing you in points leagues. 243 batting average. I like the underlying stats, but once again, I like the accounting stats, but going to a new team, 31 homers, a career high for Naylor. 6 steals, okay, that's something he could definitely play with. But let's talk about once again those splits from the first half, second half. And once again, if I remember correctly, they were pretty drastic. So once again, here we go. 89 games, or 90 games in the first half for Naylor with 54 runs, 16 doubles, 22 homers, 70 RBIs, 4 steals. 36 walks to 65 strikeouts, 246 batting average. Second half, 62 games, 30 runs, 11 doubles, 9 homers, 30 RBIs, 2 steals, 22 walks to 40 strikeouts, hit 240. So as you can see, the pace kind of went down a little bit. Not as much aggressive as I thought. But power was definitely zapped there in the second half. I got to see the park factors. I'm not super familiar with either park. I'm assuming they both fall somewhere in the middle. I could be wrong. Somebody correct me in the comments if I'm wrong down there. So it's just that I think Naylor's good for 28-ish home runs. The counting stats, once again, kind of a similar situation, I think, with the Yankees. A lot of new faces over there in the Diamondbacks. They got a lot of young kids, especially somebody like Jordan Lawler, coming up in the system, where this lineup can get mixed and moved around. And even when the line stuff, really bad sprint speed for Naylor, so I don't believe in the speed. Batting average could be a little bit better, but I think he's sold out for power. So there's a world where Naylor could hit for a better batting average. He could be a 260, 270 guy, but I think he sacrifices the power to get there. So I just feel a little bit unpredictable with Naylor. He's not somebody I feel safe with. I don't feel super safe walking away with him as my first baseman. And I feel like I might be rambling a little bit at this point, but I'm not a big Josh Naylor guy.
And I hear you. I mean, quite honestly, look, like this is the opportunity. Like you know what? I'm going to get you all hyped because y'all thought I was about to, go and give that take. But then I saw the time. And unfortunately, you guys are going to have to wait for that. And that's coming on the other side of this.
Are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest nuts Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shell variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days, whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost. They're always my go-to. And guys, quick insight, I was actually at my dad's place a little bit earlier, and I stole a bunch of his wonderful pistachios. Don't tell him, Dad, if you're listening. My bad. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more today. And then once again, folks, I want to talk to you about the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on the Subtext platform. It's going to be your ultimate fantasy baseball companion as this offseason continues to unfold. You're going to rely on Matt and I for our dynamic content, and you're going to get real-time alerts right to your phone, including our 2025 rankings, sleepers, breakouts, bust, and so much more. So you want to stay ahead of your fantasy league, you join the Diamond Club on the Subtext platform where the path to your victories begin. Subscribe now and elevate your fantasy baseball experience to a new level. And if you do want to join us on Subtext, the link is going to be in the bio wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And all right, Matt, normally that's the haterade, but we're going a different direction here. I want to say loverade, but that's a horrible name.
Don't ever say that again.
Anyone's got a better name for it, sound off. But
yeah.
Matt, Josh Naylor, why do we love him?
So I wouldn't say love, but here's the thing at the first base.
Valentine's Day is coming up. I got a little excited.
Yeah, I see that. I feel a little romantic there. I see. Okay. Hey, Josh Naylor, Dom wants your phone number. Anyway, so I wouldn't say love, but the options at first base are kind of ugly towards the end. And I feel like Naylor is the last guy I truly would prefer. I'm not trying to go out and get Paul Goldschmidt. I'm not trying to go and get any really under Josh Naylor at this point. And I have Josh Naylor 10th at the position. And reason being is, one, he got a 1-year contract, and it's a contract year. He's age 27, so he's trying to get that big contract and a longer contract in a couple years. So I foresee that, and I play that as a factor as he's going to break the cycle of new year, new team deal because he's got to play his butt off. On top of that, the selling out for power, I think, is legitimate, even though it doesn't reflect in the launch angle. The launch angle, usually, if somebody's selling out for power, obviously you're going to see a better launch angle going up, so you can sell out for power, things like that. But the average exit velocity was sitting at almost 90 miles an hour. He was at least barreling about 8.4% of the time and creating hard contact about 40. Yeah, he pretty much doesn't have a good batting average, but funny enough, he really didn't strike out only 16% of the time, walked about 9% of the time, and really didn't whiff more than 22% of the time, which is actually pretty solid numbers. So it's not as bad as it really looks on paper. So I kind of look at Naylor like this. I feel like there is a world and a way where he's going to be just fine. And maybe not 31 home runs, maybe 28. I think batting average probably about 250, 255, maybe say 260 on a good season. And in that lineup, if Corbin Carroll bounces back, I think if Laurel
Gurriel.
Yeah, there you go. No, not Gurriel.
Laurel. I thought you were trying to say Lourdes.
No. So no, I know how to say Lourdes. And for some reason, apparently I can't talk. But ultimately, I think if he gets a call, the team actually is going to have a little bit of pump for him to be able to get the counting stats. I think things are going to be just fine for him. And Naylor might be a driving force on that team for his first year. So I think he's trying to get paid. I think he's going to work out. You always got to bet on a guy on a contract year. You see it all the time. Those are the years they usually have career years, and then they go and get paid. So don't be surprised. He's only going to be 28. And at least we've seen the pedigree kind of grow year in and year out, a little bit on the later end. Not fully buying it, but again, what are your options, right? A guy that's going to be hurt all the time, or a guy that is on the decline from Hall of Fame to I wouldn't even say the floor is bottomed out. It's even worse, truthfully. So Naylor, I feel, is the last almost safe option. But this next guy here for me at 11 for me is Cody Bellinger. And Cody Bellinger for me, I'm not really a fan. In all honesty, I wasn't a fan of the signing. I wasn't a fan of the player. I don't think he is what we all think he is. And last year says a lot, right? He was healthy all season, and he had 516 at bats, 72 runs, 23 doubles, 3 triples, 18 bombs, 78 ribs, 9 stolen bases, and batted 266. And you look at the underlying stats, and nothing really supports the expectations that he's going to have with going to the Yankees. The xWOB is sitting at 301, the batting average is sitting at 242, the slug was only 391, average exit velocity was sitting under 88 miles an hour, which is like the cutoff at 87.8. Battling 6.3% of the time, creating hard contact at 32.9% of the time. Launch angle sucks. Batting average is kind of on the bat speed is on the mid. It's on the downward turn at 69. Like, yeah, he's squaring up. He's chasing a lot, though. Luckily, he's not whiffing and getting strikeouts, but he's also not walking either. Now, yeah, he's got a little bit of the sprint speed, but yeah, whatever. Cody Bellinger, I think, is an inflated balloon. He's like the balloon mortgages going on in 2008, where, everybody's investing, and I don't got a house no more. And essentially, you don't got a first baseman anymore. I actually don't think he's going to live up to it. But the thing is, I got him at 11 because the options behind him is, okay, who would I rather bet my season on, Paul Goldschmidt or Cody Bellinger? And I'm going to pick Cody Bellinger just with the upside of being on the Yankees. And also just the younger spirited guy. I don't know exactly what to say here. Honestly, as I'm talking about, he's probably going to move behind Paul Goldschmidt. That is where you could say I took a sip of the haterade. For me, Cody Bellinger is not my favorite player, but again, the options below him are not my favorite at all.
I hear you, Matt. So the funny thing is, you're actually kind of in sync with ADP. ADP has Cody Bellinger as the 11th first baseman, pick 94. I know you can move him down one, so maybe one off. But I'm only one ahead. I have Cody Bellinger as the 10th first baseman off the board. I have a smidge more optimism than you. He's not somebody I'm like targeting. But I think Cody Bellinger winds up in the spot that Roster Resource has Goldie to hit. I think Bellinger's. I think he's gonna play hard for New York. I think he's somewhere between the 2023 season we saw with the Cubs and then the 2024 season we saw last year with those same Cubs. And with the lefty power could play in New York. I think there's a world where he could tap 30 home runs. The RBIs are going to be good. On the Yankees team, he could steal bags. We all know that. And like I said, he's a career 259 hitter. Can he hit between 260, 270? I think it's definitely possible. So that's why I'm a smidge higher. Like I said, not somebody I'm going out of my way to target, but I like the upside of Cody playing in New York. He's still young at 29. I like the upside. I think there's a world where you can actually benefit from where you're drafting him, which is right now. Like I said, what did I say? Pick 94, pick 100. I think that's a good spot for him.
Yeah, I'm good.
Matt's not buying it. If you're not watching on YouTube, Matt's not buying it.
No, there's no ROP on that at all. It's too volatile, and I'd much rather just grab earlier, or a guy I have ranked much higher is going much later, and that's really where I'm at with it at the position. But Dom, it's your turn to kind of dish out the next guy and somebody we haven't talked about. So
yeah, let's I think this one's not going to be so much of a debate, but somebody that I want to highlight because I don't think we've talked about him enough. Let's talk about Vinnie P. Let's talk about the Pasquatch from the Kansas City Royals. If you're not familiar with them, unfortunately, as soon as he started to get hot last year, he got hurt. And missed the end. What did he miss? Like the final 3 months of the season, I think. Yeah, he he actually played 131 games, played more games than I thought. So, but he did get hurt towards the end, and didn't really get to finish the season as strong as we would have liked to. So Vinnie P last year, 131 games, 496 at bats, 64 runs, 30 doubles, 2 triples, 19 homers, 97 RBIs, which is wild for only 131 games. A steal, and he had 262. He hasn't even tapped the potential yet that he has. There's a world where Vinnie P hits 30 plus home runs with a 280 batting average, and the RBIs. I mean, if that young Kansas City team gets rocking and rolling behind Bobby Witt and Vinnie P, and they really lead that charge, yeah, 100 plus RBIs is obviously easy in the question. He's in 97 last year. The runs, he could tap 75, 80 easily. And then when you're looking at that, you're looking at a 35, 100, a strong batting average. That's close to what Pete Alonso is going to give you. Maybe gives you a little bit more pop, but I think Vinnie P is being undervalued at the moment. He's coming off the board as the 12th first baseman, pick 105. I have Vinnie P at 6 at first base. I will reach for Vinnie P if I have to. That's how much I like him. After the top five, I think the top five is lock solid. The top five has been lock solid at first base for I think like the last 3 years when you have Vlad, Harper, Freeman, Olson, and Alonso. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. After that, it gets a little bit more wide open, and then Vinnie P's my guy. He's the next up one on my list. I want a lot of Vinnie P this year, and I'm not really even going to add anything else besides go look at his minor league stats. He's done it a bunch of the minors where he's hit for average and power. Look at the underlying stuff; it looks good for him. Buy Vinnie P. Buy as much stock as you can.
Yep. Coming up next, you'll find out what I feel because apparently I'm just getting bolstered by these breaks. But yeah, right after this. Okay, so now we got that out of the way. Vinny P, love. That was the guy I was referring to that I'd say draft a lot later. The price is amazing. And quite honestly, I have full confidence. Last year, we got to see a little bit. And, you know, it's going to be just fine this year. Yeah, the injury it sucks, but I don't think it's going to hamper any of his things. Maybe just a slow start at first, but we'll see. Spring training is going to probably rise up his draft price if he's rocking and rolling. Well done, Dom. We'll talk about another guy that's on this show a lot, Christian Encarnacion-Strand, the guy that can't seem to escape a mock draft episode. And he plays for the Cincinnati Reds. And quite honestly, the kid's an absolute stud. The upside is absolutely unreal. I love this kid. Unfortunately, we didn't get to really see anything from him. He got a grand total of 116 at bats, played 29 games, and we really didn't get to see what he's really made of. But if you look at the minor league stats, it's kind of more telling of what to possibly expect. There's no guarantees when it comes to these prospects, but I could tell you what, this kid can totally get it done if he really is able to stay healthy, essentially, right? You look at what he's done in 23 in the minors, where he had 278 at bats, 65 runs, 21 doubles, 2 triples, 20 bombs, 62 ribs, 2 stolen bases, and batted .331. Now, this is in AAA, and again, 278 at bats and putting down 20 bomb skis. That's some serious power right there. He's always had good batting average throughout his career. So, the numbers that we were seeing in the batting average, I think were kind of like more of rookie growing pains and guy getting used to the league than what we actually seen him in. Plus, he went down to the hand injury that ultimately ended his season because he had to make a decision whether he was going to come back or not. So a lot of things came into play with that. And I think that, everything's going right now. Maybe the hand injury was present even when he got the call, and it could explain the poor performance. So I will say this, Christian Encarnacion-Strand is going to be an absolute stud. I haven't ranked so high, but I won't leave the draft with him as my my first baseman, etc. Where do I have him ranked at the moment? My first baseman, he's right now 9. I'm not going to, leave the draft. Obviously, I'm going to wind up with 2 first basemen. But the fact of the matter is, if I wanted a lower tier guy and kind of take a risk and then see, okay, if this kid does pan out, he's the perfect opportunity, but he's going to be a great UT play all year long. This kid's going to be an absolute stud. I'm full-heartedly ready for it. Plus, that park is just Great American Hitter Park, as I've named it. So, it's something you really need to dive into, and trust me, do not pass on this kid whatsoever.
Yeah, man, I'm so with you on Strand. Once again, if you've watched any of our mock drafts episode, as Matt said, I think we've literally taken him in every single one because the ADP right now on Strand is crazy. It's the 27th first baseman, pick 258. I think some people are still concerned about the health, but Strand's played. He played in the Arizona Fall League, a couple months ago. Played 8 games. He hit 385. He had 2 doubles. Unfortunately, no homers, but he had 7 RBIs. He even stole a base. So, hey, he's running. We like to see that from Strand. Not that he's going to do much of that, but hey, the fact that he's willing not to go out there and steal a bag, I like that. Matt, you hit on really all the big talking points. I have Strand as my 8th first baseman. I have a lot of faith in him too. He's going to do big things as long as he can stay on that field. Let's I'll do this, Matt. Let's do this real quick as we're getting towards the end here. Let's just run through our rankings. I don't necessarily think we need to talk about each guy. I just want to let everybody know where we have our first baseman rankings at. If you stuck around this long, you deserve it. So my top 12 is I have Vladdy Jr. at number 1. I have Bryce Harper at 2, Freddie Freeman at 3, Matt Olson at 4, Pete Alonso at 5, Vinnie P at 6, Tristan Casas at 7, Christian Encarnacion-Strand at 8, Christian Walker at 9, Cody Bellinger at 10, Brandon Lau at 11, and Josh Naylor at 12. Matt, you want to sound off on yours real quick?
Yeah, I got Vladdy, Freeman, Harper, Olson, Pete Alonso, Vinnie Pasquantino, Tristan Casas, Christian Walker, Christian Encarnacion-Strand. Man, that's a mouthful. Josh Naylor, Paul Goldschmidt, and Cody Bell, because I just made the switch on the fly.
There
And
you go. This
on
is
top,
about.
yeah, exactly. And that's why we do these things.
Yes, sir.
Now, a guy that we really haven't talked about, I feel we need to, is Tristan Casas of the Boston Red Sox. Um, Dom, I know you're a fan of him.
Love
I'm
him.
a fan of him. Why don't you, tell us a little bit why you like him and,
Yeah.
why exactly we still haven't ranked this high, even though he's barely played in the bigs.
Let's do it, brother. The thing with Casas is another, and I don't know what it is with these young first basemen, but they seem to be getting banged up a lot because Casas only played 63 games last year, 212 at bats, 13 homers, 241 batting average, nothing else really notable there. And it's just really the injury. He's another kid that showed it off in the minors for years. I don't know that. I think there's something in the water there in Boston, man, because these prospects, they're starting to remind me of how we were looking at the Orioles like last year, 2 years ago, because Boston's doing it over there now. And then I think Casas is going to lead the charge. I think they have so much faith in him. I think we're gonna. I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna come out hot, man. In the showing he had in 2023 in the majors with Boston, of course, 132 games, 24 homers, 21 doubles, 65 RBIs, 70 walks to 126 strikeouts, and a 263 batting average. I think that was only a little taste. I think he played, most of the 63 games hurt last year. That's why we saw him struggle, the ups and downs. But Casas is a guy that he's of the very Vinnie P type mold where he has a good eye. He could hit for a strong batting average. And then, Casas got the pop too, man. And he's a pretty big boy at 6'5", 244. We're gonna watch him in some tanks over the Green Monster for years to come. There's the 35 home runs, dare I say, with a bunch of RBIs, good runs, because that Boston team, yeah, Matt's pointing up if you're not watching on YouTube, 40 home run upside, yeah, well, I'll say it. And then he's a guy, once again, you might have to sell out for the 40 home run pop, but I really think Casas could live in a world where I think Vinny P could too. 285 batting average, 35 home runs, 100 RBIs. Not really going to get much speed, but it could be really good. It could be really good if you walk away with Vinny P, Casas, or Strand from your draft at first base. If you're like a 12-man deep league, I'm not mad at it. Hopefully you're stronger in other positions, but those are going to be three guys that I really think could break that top five. Going into 2026.
Quite honestly, I think Casas can break into the top three, if I'm really being honest. So look, even though we had like the injury-prone season, not injury-prone, just the injured season, this is the underlying stats. This is what's under the hood. An X-WOBA 330, the X batting average I'm not going to pay attention to. The X slug was a 452. The average exit velocity was sitting at 90.2 miles an hour. He was barreling about 13.3% of the time, creating hard contact at 45.2% of the time. Launch angle was a kiss. It was amazing. Again, he didn't chase, but unfortunately he did whiff and he did strike out, but he also knew how to walk. So I'm definitely impressed with the kid. We know we've seen great, plate discipline from him in the minors. It may take a little bit to get used to. I wouldn't be surprised if this season he hits 250, and then in 2026 he's hitting about 285, like Dom said. This kid is going to be a monster. This will be the lowest home run season of his full season, like when he first full season career year, I guess is how I would put it. Where I say 27 home runs, 28 home runs, and then I'm telling you, it's gonna be an absolute monster in 26.
Matt, real quick, I want to throw in one thing about Casas. The 63. You're reading off all the great underlying stuff, right? He played last year. I want to say most of the time hurt because it was a rib cage issue. And I don't know. I've had a strained rib cage muscle before, and it is so damn pesky and annoying, and takes a long time to go away. And when you're swinging a baseball bat, if you've played, you're swinging that you're engaging your core, your rib cage there. So he showed great underlying stats while hurt. So I just wanted to highlight that he's going to be great.
Yeah. So like out of everybody, I'm really like excited to draft this year. It is Casas. The more I look at him, the more I break it down. Casas just screams, the sexiness that you look in a young player in terms of fantasy baseball. Not, I don't, yeah. Anyway, like,
real quick, I got one more. Let's do him real quick because I don't think
yeah.
we've talked about him too much since he's re-signed. Let's talk about Pete Alonso real quick. Goes back to the Mets. I think that just kind of just solidifies his value in that top 5 of first baseman because he goes back to the team that he's been with. We know what he can do there. They get Juan Soto. I think that drives the RBIs up. I think that drives the motivation up. I'll say this about Alonso. He's somebody that I have in a big-time dynasty league, and I drafted him coming off of the 2022 season where he hit 271 with the 40 homers. And before that, he hit 262. I think there's a world where Alonso gets back up to 250, 260 and locks in. I'm not guaranteeing it, but I'm not as I'm not as scared to draft Pete Alonso anymore as I was before he re-signed with the Mets. So I think if you want one of the elite first basemen, you could take Alonso and you could walk away feeling pretty happy that you got a lot of pop, a lot of RBIs, and potentially a decent batting average.
Yeah, your boy in the background and definitely agrees with everything you just said. I do too. He did so well for this whole show. Well done. But yeah, I completely agree. Pete Alonso being back, being back on the Mets definitely makes you feel confident, and don't feel free to draft him now without any kind of hesitation. Him is number 5 for the first base for me, and all day, every day. But that, guys, that's going to put us to an end here. So please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, share the show with everybody, even your friends. Look, you're only as good as when you're on the same level peg. If you could still beat the hell out of your friends, then you're just as good. And I promise you, if they're not that good, this information is going to do nothing for them, but everything for us by keeping this podcast going. So share, please, and do everything you can to. And when you're done checking us out, because we're your first listen each and every day, check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB. He puts on a great show for real MLB coverage all day long. And check us out on the Subtext. Promise you're going to be able to get those rankings, and you're not going to want to miss out on that either. We're going to be the key and your ticket to winning your leagues. So that being said, guys, have a great rest of your day. Peace out.